Hey folks, quill18 here and welcome to another one of our Sid Meier Civilization 7 tutorials here on the official Civ 7 YouTube channel. Do make sure you're subscribed here so you don't miss a single thing. And if you want to see me just play some Civ, you can go and watch over at youtube.com/quill18. Now, I've loaded a different game from last time, and today we're going to talk about diplomacy. And certainly that means we're going to talk to our neighbors. We've got 3 currently right now in the game that I'm playing. I've got Confucius, who I have a wonderful relationship with. In fact, the clasped hands over here show that I'm allied with him. I've got Ashoka, who I have a terrible relationship, as indicated by the skull. And we've also got Xerxes, who I'm currently neutral with. But before I actually talk to these fellas, I'm going to go and talk about independent villages. I've got one to my north, Segunia, who's actually hostile. That's what the red border here is for. And then to my south, I've got Kerma, who is neutral and kind of relaxed. They just have a yellow border. There are 2 different ways we can deal with these independent villages. Now, Segunia, throughout most of the game, has been very frustrating to me because they train military units and they have been sending them against my cities. It's time to do something about them. Now, I do have 2 options. I could befriend them, independents here, but we're going to go and save that for our neutral friend to the south. Segunia I'm mad with, so it's time for them to be dispersed. I'm going to move a military unit onto the hex tile with Segunia. And then what I'm going to do is, with it selected, I now have a button down below called Disperse Independence. This will remove the independent village from the map and give me a reward. The reward will be based on this symbol over here. Segunia is a cultural independent village, so when I clear this out, I will get 100 culture. The amount you get depends on the age. You'll also notice that I got 25 experience on my army commander. That is a massive amount of XP, and therefore, clearing out these independent villages by dispersing them is extremely valuable. On the flip side, there's also a lot of value in befriending them. And the way we do that is if we go ahead and click on the independent village, we can click this button to befriend independents. It's worth noting you can do this with hostile independent villages as well. The amount of influence, that's your influence over here, the amount of influence is required depends on what age you're in. You're on standard spade and the antiquity age. It's going to cost me 170 influence to do. I'm going to hit this button, and what's going to happen is I now have this befriending Kerma meter. Now, if this village had started hostile, this bar would be far more empty. But because it's neutral, it starts at the 30 of 60 mark, and you can see we're getting progress of 2 per turn. And therefore, in 15 turns, this is going to fill out completely. Now, halfway through, we are going to get a reward. This tooltip says this independent power will convert to a city-state soon. It doesn't convert when you get to this point, but it's working on it. And they will bestow upon me a gift at this point. The gift that they will give me depends on what kind of independent village this is. Kerma is a financial one, so I suspect they'll probably give me a few buckaroos. But the big thing is when this fills up completely, at which point Kerma will no longer be considered an independent village. Instead, it will become a city-state, and it will be a city-state that is my vassal. I will be the suzerain of Kerma, and this will give us a few different benefits. I will get an immediate reward from Kerma. I will also have additional diplomatic interactions that I can take with them. All right, now let's talk about the diplomacy you can do with your actual AI leaders, your true neighbors, your true rivals in the game. You can actually see in the bottom right corner, I have been presented with a diplomatic action. Someone is coming to talk to me. So let's see what they have to say. Oh, it's my good buddy Confucius. I have a wonderful relationship with Confucius, and I would love to see us continue to develop that on great terms. What is he offering to me? He would like us to start a farmer's market together. Now, the amazing thing, and I really enjoy the diplomacy in Civ 7, the deals that we can do, which are called endeavors, have 3 different ways that they can be resolved. So, Confucius has presumably just spent 60 influence to propose this deal to me. The default, I suppose, action would be to accept. Accepting costs me nothing. You can see it costs 0 influence down here to accept. And if I do, I will get 2 gold per turn. Hey, that's pretty good. And Confucius will get 2 food per turn in towns. So Confucius is certainly getting a benefit, but so am I. And as long as I don't mind Confucius benefiting from this endeavor, and why would I? He's my best friend in the whole world. I would be happy to at very least accept. Now, if I wasn't so keen on Confucius, and if perhaps I was planning on starting a war with them, and in fact wanted it to be a formal war, which requires a bad relationship with a neighbor, then I could reject it. This does cost me 20 influence to do, and it will block future projects. He won't go and approach me with anything else, and our relationship will worsen. The final thing I could do, although I can't do it right now because I don't have enough influence for it, is I could support this deal. And what this means is I would match the influence cost. So Confucius, again, presumably spent 60 influence presenting this deal to me. I could spend 60 influence back, match it, and we would both get a better reward than if I'd simply accepted it. So again, if I accept it, I get 2 gold per turn, he gets 2 food per turn. If I support it, both of us get 3 food per turn. In this case, I can tell you definitely, if I had the 60 influence, I would be saying yes to this in a heartbeat. Unfortunately, I can merely accept. But hey, I'll appreciate the money anyway, and Confucius still gets a benefit by having that extra food over there. I hope he grows strong and powerful so we can continue to be best friends for the rest of the game. Let's take a look at what happens when I actually click on one of my neighbors and look at maybe initiating diplomatic actions with them. So if I click on Confucius over here, we have a list of all the actions that I can take diplomatically. Now, most of these are currently grayed out because I don't currently have enough influence with things, although some of them are grayed out for different reasons. They may not be available in this particular situation. It's also worth noting that endeavors, like for example, the farmer's market, you can only have one running in general. So even if I had the resources, I could not go to Xerxes and offer him a farmer's market because I already have one running. This might depend on the endeavors. There might be different exceptions to this, but in general, it looks like you can only have one copy of any one of these running at any given time. I actually have 2 different endeavors running with Confucius right now. You can see here, I've got the farmer's market endeavor, which just was initiated and will last for 15 turns. I also have a research collaboration going on, which is active for another 4 turns. Research collaboration works very much like a farmer's market. You spend the influence to get it started, and both parties will get a certain amount of science. If the other party supports it, then both parties get a ton more science. This is wonderful. Now, these treaties do different things here. Open borders pretty much says what it says on the tin. It allows you to walk through their land. The AI is quite fond of asking you for this, and they will pay you a couple of gold per turn for open borders, which is lovely. We can also improve trade relations. Now, trade is a little bit trickier. I've got a merchant currently parked in Confucius's capital. And if I click on that merchant here in Confucius' capital, we have silk, we have wine, iron, and gold. Now, on my merchant panel, which has a different name because of the nation that I'm playing, this is a unique variant of the merchant called the VII. That's probably not how it's pronounced, but I have a button here to make a trade route. So I'm going to do that from this capital, and these 4 resources I will now have. If I check the resource allocation, the amount of gold, wine, and iron over here has just gone up. In fact, I can see in this tooltip that this iron and this wine comes from Confucius's capital. We can also note that I have this extra silk resource that I can go and slot into my capital. And oh, that is just wonderful. Trade is fantastic. By default, you only have one trade route that you can do with your neighbors, but that's what this improved trade relationship button is for. It lets you have more than one trade route, and this is lovely. We've also got sanctions. Again, these are great tools if you want to hurt someone or generally worsen their relationship. Again, if I were to try to declare war on Confucius over here, it would be a surprise war. They would get a bunch of influence, and they would get tremendous war support on their side. Being on the losing side of war support is quite poor because you will get happiness penalties and your troops won't fight as strong. So it is not great to be in a war where the other side has more war support than you. By comparison, if I look at Ashoka over here and I were to declare war against him, this would be a formal war because we have a hostile relationship and there would be no war support on either side. You can click on this heart button over here to see exactly what is impacting your relationship. I love the transparency. Unfortunately, with Ashoka, we're probably doomed because of the leader agenda causing a problem. If I go and take a look at the question mark over here, I can see the leader's traits, but importantly, I can see their agenda. So Ashoka over here likes the civilization with least amount of land, dislikes the one with the largest amount of land. I have a lot of land. Ashoka does not appreciate that. He wants land all for himself. Now, if we take a look at Confucius instead, we have a fantastic relationship, and we have a plus 59. Instead of a minus 50, we have a plus 59 from leader agenda. Why is that? He likes the civilization with the most specialists. Oh, that's great. I love putting specialists in my cities. That's one of the reasons we're going to get along so very well. Finally, at the bottom, we've got a few sneaky actions that we can do with a neighbor. Espionage. These, which actions are available here, by the way, can depend on a multitude of things. Sometimes it has to do with your leader or civilization. A lot of times it has to do with what you have unlocked in the tech or civic tree, and it can vary by age as well. So if you don't have the same options, those are reasons why that might be the case. I really like the emergent gameplay that happens out of this, even though at the start of a new age, some of your relationship history is reset. You know, some of the things that you did in the previous era won't matter anymore because time heals all wounds. On the other hand, there is a certain amount of memory. If you end an era with a great relationship with someone, you will start the next era with a strongly positive relationship. On the flip side, if you end an era with a very negative relationship, that will be carried forward as well. So investing in positive relationships early on in the game can pay dividends throughout the entire history of your leadership. Thanks for watching, folks. I hope you found this video useful. We are going to be looking at age transitions next, and I hope you're as excited about that as I am. Thank you very much for watching. Again, do make sure you're subscribed here to the official Civilization channel. And if you want to see me just play some Civ, you can find me over at youtube.com/quill18. I have been quill18, and I'll see you next time.